Alrighty, good morning. So today we are going to be adding positive and negative decimals. Okay, you should already know how to add and subtract both positive and negative integers, fractions, and mixed numbers. Since that's the computation and number sense that we have been working with already this year, we should be strengthening up those rules that we use for a positive and negative integers, fractions, and mixed numbers. Now, a future use that you're going to use this for is the multi-step equations with positive and negative rational numbers. You'll use this as we get through our year. You'll have one-step equations with decimals, you'll have two-step, and then when you get into 8th grade and algebra and beyond, you're going to have multi-step, more complicated type of equations. So we need to strengthen these skills now this year so that you can be successful in your math classes in the future. Okay? So today we are going to do our notes. Okay? Nope, that was not screen. See, page width. There we go. Alrighty, so starting with, to add and subtract decimals, you must line up the decimal points. Okay, you have to have those lined up so that you are adding and subtracting with the correct place value. And you always want to do this with the larger absolute value on top. So it doesn't matter if it's positive or negative, which one is farther away from zero. That one will always go on top. Okay, so with signed decimals, we still follow the rules for integers. Okay, so we're still going to look to see, are they both positive numbers? Are they both negative? Are they different? And see how is it increasing and decreasing. So let's look at example 1. We have 5 and 67 hundredths plus a negative 35 hundredths. So now if we want to think about which one is larger, okay, so 5 is increased above 0. So this is about where we would be. And if we're adding a negative, remember then that means we're decreasing. We're going to go somewhere down. So we know our answer should be a positive because we're going to end up in the positives even if we use the number line. Okay, so putting our larger decimal point on top, we want to take a 5 and 67 hundredths, and because they're different signs, we're going to subtract. Okay, we're going to take 35 hundredths away. And 5 minus 7 minus 5 is 2. 6 minus 3 is 3. Now this is why we line up our decimal points. This is how we know where my decimal is going to go. Okay. So if you need to, this is a video, so pause it and catch up with your notes as we go through, okay? All right. So now, let's look at number 2. Negative 6 and 82 hundredths minus 8 and 47 hundredths. This is where we're going to need to add our opposites. So we kind of need to go ahead and rewrite this as a negative 6 and 82 hundredths. Now we're going to add the opposite. What's the opposite of a positive? A negative. So then that way we can follow those addition rules. So look, and I have 2 negatives. So those are same signs. Remember with same signs, you are adding and keeping because we're decreasing twice here. All right. So if I think of my absolute value, which one is farther away from 0? My 8 or my 6? Well, my 8 is, so I'm going to put my 8 on top and take away the 6 and 82 hundredths. All right, and do your subtraction. Now you might have to regroup so that you can actually do it the way you want. those two. Remember, line up those decimals. And then 7 minus 6 is 1. Now remember, this has to be a negative answer because I have two numbers that are decreasing. Right? We need to pause this. All right, number 3. Here I have negative 6 tenths plus a negative 9/5600. So here I have two numbers that are decreasing. So I'm going to have a negative answer. I already know that. Right, so line them up. The largest on top, which is my 9 and 56 hundredths minus. Now looky here. I like that my decimals, I have nothing under the 6. We have to add a 0 there. Okay? You can add all the zeros you need at the end, and it's still going to be the same number. Okay, so 6 minus 0 is 6. Gotta do a little more grouping. There. Okay? And like we said, our answer is a negative. Both of our rational numbers are negative. All right. And let's go down to our next 3. Okay. So now we have another subtraction problem. Remember, subtraction problems, you need to change them to addition by adding the opposites. So we really have negative 4 821 thousandths plus, and then what's the opposite of the negative? A positive. Okay. Though 3 is larger on the number line, negative 4 is farther away from 0, and that's what we want when we are setting up our problems. Now this is a subtraction problem because they are different signs. Okay, so I need to take my 4 and 8200, 4 and 2100, sorry, minus my 3 and 2 tenths. And then what I need to do is just add my zeros in. And now I can subtract. All right, 8 minus 2 is 6. Got my decimals lined up so I know where my decimal goes. And then when we look at this, we got to figure out which one's my higher value. Well, we already decided which one's a higher value because that's what went on top. And that one's a negative, so that means my answer is a negative. All right, so my answer is a negative 1 and 621 thousandths. Okay, let's go to number 5. Once again, it's a subtraction problem. So we want to add our opposite. All right. So which one's larger value? On top, the 7 and 92 hundredths minus the 3 and 18 hundredths. Make sure if you need to, you regroup so that you know how that you can actually take your subtraction. Minus 27. Got my decimals lined up, and then 7 minus 3, 4. But now is this a positive or a negative? Well, my 7 and 92 hundredths is my greatest absolute value, and it's a negative. So that is our final answer. Okay, if you feel confident, go ahead and try doing number 6 on your own, and then start your video back up to check your work. Okay, we gotta add our opposite. So I really have different signs now. Now 8 and 25 hundredths is actually farther away from 0 than 8 and 1400. So we're going to put that one on top, which means if that one's on top, my answer is a negative because that's the higher value. Writing faster. All right, and like we said, because they're different signs, we are subtracting. 1 and then a 0. We have a negative 1100 as our answer. Okay. All right, 3 more to go. So here we have 21, negative 21 and 45 hundredths minus 6 and 781 thousandths. Remember, we have to add our opposite. We need to change it to addition. And what's the opposite of a positive? Negative. So then we have same signs, add. Okay, so we are going to add these, lining up my decimals. I have nothing above my 1. So I need to add a 0 there. Okay. Now we can do our addition. Make sure you don't go too fast so you don't have addition errors. It still happens. Even happens for me. All right. Because both my numbers are negative, I decrease twice. So my answer is a negative. Okay. If you're feeling confident for number 8, pause the video, do it yourself, and then check your answer. Okay, we got different signs, so I'm going to subtract. Now I put my largest value on top, minus the lower value, add my 0 in, and now I can subtract. I gotta do my regrouping. So this really turns into a 2. Because I have to regroup multiple times, that's a 9, and then we have a 10. Now I can subtract all the way through. Decimals lined up, I know where it goes. Now is this a positive or negative? Well, my 3 and 3 thousandths is my higher value, so I know my answer is a positive 443 thousandths. Whichever. All right, Dari addition, so I don't need to add the opposite. And then they're both negative. We decrease twice. Okay, if we were to have this on a number line, we would be going down twice and getting a bigger negative answer. Okay, so which one goes on top? Well, my higher value. Even though we're just going to be adding, always just set it up with the higher value. Add your 0 in. Okay, I already know where my decimal's going to go. I already know my answer is going to be a negative. All that work before I even actually do any arithmetic. All right, add, put it up. So a negative 34 and 300 for our final answer. Okay, so we need to pause this, glue it into your notebook. And then let's look at this maze. Okay, starting at the alien, we're going to solve 12 decimal problems to make it to the spaceship at the end of the workspace on the back. There is workspace on the second page, okay, but I'm going to try to work this through where we can do it right here on the screen. Right, so you are going to go through 12 problems. Okay, so let's look at the start with the little alien. We have negative 9 and 5/10 plus 8 and 2/10. Well, they're different signs, so that means we actually have to subtract. Right, keeping my 9.5 on top because it's the higher value. I'm going to put my negative, or put my 8 and 2/10 on the bottom, and I can subtract. 5 minus 2 is 3, and 9 minus 8 is 1. Well, if you look, we have 2 of those. So we need to see, is this a negative or positive? Well, my higher value is a negative. So that means I'm going to go this way to the left. Got it? Then number 2, the second problem, so that means we got 11 more problems to do. It's a subtraction problem. So we need to add the opposite. Right? So if we add the opposite, I have 2 negatives I'm adding. So same sign, add heat. Right? So if I put my 5 and 4/10 plus 1 and 35. Okay? I know because it ends with a 5 right here, 7, 6, and 75 hundredths, and then because both of them are negative, so is my solution. So I'm going to go to the left again. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and finish that up. Okay, there is an extra practice page. Let's look at that one for a minute. Let me change it up a little bit. So what you're going to do is draw a straight line connecting each exercise with its correct answer. Each line will cross a number and a letter. The number tells you where to put that letter at the boxes on the bottom. So if you look at the first one, we have two positive numbers. Okay, so we're going to add those. With them lined up, you would get your 2 and 4 would be 6, and then 6 and 3 is a 9, and they're both positive. So we look for that answer off to the side, and all the way over here. So that means going from this point all the way over, I go through 4 and H. So down at the bottom where there's a 4, you're going to put your H there. Okay? So let's look at the second one. Remember, it's a subtraction problem, so we need to actually add our opposite. So again, we got two positive numbers that we are going to add. Okay, 9 plus 3 is 12. And then we get a 7. So positive 7 and 2/10. We find that answer over here. And if you need to use a straight edge, whether your notebook, and we have 17 and E, so E ends our riddle. Okay? So you go through continuing doing that. Okay, if you have any questions, send your teacher an email. This is Mrs. Oliver saying, have a great day.